Hey guys, it has been a hot minute, and I wanted to, at the end of my surgery video, do an update for you guys because so much has happened and it kept preventing me from kind of doing this update. One, things kept happening like after surgery that I would want to include in this video, but then two, my cousin passed away and I just needed like time because it was just like, aside from her passing away, like having and I really like struggle to even call what I've been through complications because it's not like a serious surgery complication I had in my eyes, because I have seen people in like the bypass group I'm in have some like crazy stuff happen to them, and in the grand scheme of things my issues don't seem as bad, if that makes sense. Like, I didn't have it as easy as some people, but nowhere near as bad as some people. um so I'm gonna try to like go through that, and I'm gonna be drinking a lot during this video. And I've been dehydrated severely once already, and that's why I'm trying to keep on top of my fluids. People keep asking me, like my friends and stuff, well, how did you get dehydrated? And I don't think they understand that my stomach is like the size of a shot glass. And um, I tell them, it's the size of a shot glass, so you can't just chug water without hurting your stomach. And then you have to just sip and sip and sip, and it's like all day long. You've got to sip just to get to a normal amount that you would have just chugged, previously. Um, so this, yeah. Um, so I'm gonna be 1 month out next week. Um, and I'm just going to go with to date because I haven't weighed myself in a few days. I've lost 28 pounds and I can't see it like on myself. Like, but I also know that like some clothes are fitting looser, but it's usually like, I feel like it's like 50 pounds where you really notice and other people really notice your weight loss. So I can't really see it yet. Some people have said my face is thinner, like especially people have seen me in person. I don't see it, but I don't know. I don't see it yet, but I'm okay with that because this isn't like a race to me. This is like just my new way of life. That's why I don't stress about getting on the scale, because I don't know, some people I know in my group are just jumping on the scale constantly. Anyways, I don't know how the vlog ended because I was in the hospital and there's so much footage and it was 3 weeks ago. So sorry if it ended weirdly, and then hello, here I am. Um, so I'm just gonna go over like the first thing that happened when I got home. A few days after I got home, my cousin, who had about 2 months, kind of took a turn, and it was looking like she didn't have that time left. So a few days after surgery, my dad drove me out to, she's about an hour away from me, and he drove me out there to see her on her deathbed, basically. And that was, I think I posted a video and told you guys that was going on. It was really, really hard to see her like that, and then harder than I imagined because I've dealt with a lot of death in my life, including my own mom when I was younger. And it was really hard to see somebody who's 35 years old and so vibrant laying in a casket. It just wasn't right to me. Like, it's taken me a while to be able to say this without crying. Life is not fair, and she was so full of grace, and she was so okay that that was God's plan, that she wasn't going to be here anymore. And I can't, she was a saint, and it's really, I still can't wrap my mind around it. She had stage 4 colon cancer. She fought like hell. She went through so many surgeries and so many treatments. She had radiation beads because it moved to her liver. By the time they found it, she had 60% of her liver removed. She had the tumors taken off, was there. She had radiation beads put into her liver, and then they accidentally went through her stomach. And that was like a whole nother thing she went through. She just basically went through so much. And to me, like, it was so upsetting that after as hard as she fought, like, this is how it ended. But she was such a beautiful person. She touched so many lives, and she saved my life. If you don't know, when Jackson was a baby, I still deal with anemia. They couldn't figure out where it was coming from. And they told me that I should see a GI doctor and maybe get a colonoscopy. And if it weren't for my cousin, like pushing everyone to take that stuff seriously, I would have been like, I am, what was I, 33? I don't need a colonoscopy. That's ridiculous. I was 32 or 33. I think I was 32. I was like, that's crazy. I'm too young. And then I was like, no, but Michelle is my age. We're only a few days apart. And she really encouraged everyone to take it seriously. So I went and I had a cancerous polyp. And the doctor said, if you had waited till screening age to get a colonoscopy, you would have died before the screening age. So she really saved my life. And I just want to take a minute to bring that up and share with you guys about her passing. So that happened. I was about 2 weeks out when she did pass, or almost, no, it was less than, I can't remember. It's all a blur. She did live after I saw her. So maybe I was like almost a little less than a week out when my dad took me, and she lasted like 4 more days after, no, 3 days after I saw her, she passed. And then her funeral, they had to get that together and stuff. And that's the reason I'm saying this, is because it all kind of crosses over. So before she passed, I was in that middle period. I hadn't gone to the restroom. This is going to be total TMI. So if you don't like that stuff, I just wouldn't listen now. I don't know. The rest of this video is going to be very TMI. So, but I want to be honest with you guys about how this is if you're considering the surgery. I had issues with constipation after Jackson, like really bad. Nothing was working. I did finally pass it, and I thought that was the worst thing ever, and that you could never have constipation worse than that. And I was so wrong. You guys, I'm going to try not to get into the full details of it, because I've only told like 2 of my friends, and they were horrified, and they're like, definitely don't share all of that on YouTube. And I'm like, there's no way I ever would, what I had to do to get it out. But so I hadn't gone since 2 days before surgery, and the nurse at the hospital was like, that's normal, you've been on a liquid diet, there's not really anything to pass. So I come home from surgery, and about 7 days after, I was like, I still haven't gone and then, I was like, this is weird. And then I think it was day 8, I'm not sure, I all of a sudden just was doing something, and I felt like, oh my God, I've got to go right now. Like when you're like, I gotta find a toilet now situation. And I ran to the bathroom, and I tried to go. And at this point, like, my incisions were still healing a lot more. Like the inside, definitely. Because even now, the inside is still kind of healing almost a month out. I can't lay on my side. I feel this like pulling sensation. But the outside incisions, they were kind of getting better, but they weren't fully healed. And so I didn't want to push too hard at first, because obviously I was scared I was going to like bust open my new stomach or something. And so I sat there, and it was this massive thing sat on my, asshole, basically. I realized, oh my God, this is like after my C-section. So I tried to push it. I was like, I'm just going to push through and get rid of this thing. And I blacked out and fell off the toilet. So I was like, oh my God, it was really scary. And I've never, like with my C-section, when it finally came, I had just pushed it out. Like it was horrible. And I think I got maybe like a hemorrhoid from it, but this was different. Like I couldn't push it. I started shaking. I blacked out, fell off the toilet. So I talked to the hospital, and they told me to take a suppository. So when I got in a suppository, took it, nothing happened. Like nothing, not even a tingle in my gut. Nothing happened. I was like, oh my God. So then they said, start pushing milk and magnesia. So I did. I think it was like 2 doses in with the suppository the next day. And I had just took a 3rd dose because it was over like half a day and into the next half of a day. So I did the suppository, 2 full doses of milk and magnesia, nothing. And it was the 3rd dose that finally, like, I started feeling like, okay, I have to go. I started going, but it was like fluid was coming around the mass. Anyways, things happened that I'm not going to talk about. I was screaming like I was in labor. I truly feel like I gave birth out of my butt. I'm not, I know this is like totally TMI. I was screaming like I was in labor. um I felt bad because I couldn't control it, and I was so scared I was gonna Justin was home. I was so scared I was gonna scare Jackson, but he apparently was just like, well, mommy's crazy. And Justin kept running in. I kept telling him to leave, but he was scared that I was gonna faint again on the toilet. I was sweating like it was horrible. I had to do some things to get it out. And finally it was coming out, and like, I'm just going to leave that right there. But at the end of it all, I ripped my rectum. Um, and I got, by the end of it, 5 hemorrhoids. Like the first day there was 3, and then by the next day I had 5. Like 5 hemorrhoids and a ripped rectum. So that was my first nightmare. Bump in the road. Just going to leave that at that. It took a few days. You know what? I think, yeah, it took a few days for me to be able to sit right. So I thought that's the worst. The worst thing's over. Okay, so also 2 days after surgery, where they gave me 2 blood thinner shots, one kind of off the side of my belly, and the next one they gave me in the center. And 2 days after or 2 days after that shot, not after surgery, Hig had a knot. So does my other one. My other one still has a knot, but it's fine. The knot just kept getting redder and bigger, and I was like, what the heck? But it wasn't really bothering me. So I just left it, and it did get kind of big, and I showed Justin. It was like this big. And I showed him. He's like, it looks like when your body's irritated or stressed or something. Like, he's like, does it hurt? I'm like, no, but it's just hard and it's weird, and it was making me nervous. So then I saw my surgeon at 2 weeks post-op, and it had gotten way bigger than when it first started. And I showed him, and he was just like, oh, that's your body's stress response. And so I want to tell you guys, I, with my new stomach, have been so lucky. And he did, because I don't want this to sound bad on my surgeon, because he did look at it. Could he have looked at it longer? Probably. I should have spoke up too. So I feel like both of us kind of dropped the ball there. But overall, like, my new stomach is awesome. I don't have like hardly any problems that I hear some of the people in my group have. He did such an amazing job. Like, next week is week 4, and I can go back to a completely normal diet because my stomach has been so amazing. So I just want to say that I've had a good experience, and I don't regret any of it. So he did look at it, but not like very briefly. He was more concerned about checking my incisions. And I think I dropped the ball too, because I didn't say what I felt, that like that wasn't right. Because by that point I was worried because it was hot and red and hard. And I feel like I kind of dropped the ball there too. And maybe he did too, because he could have looked at it longer. But it's not something, I feel like a lot of that falls on me too, because I should have said something. So anyway, he said it was a stress response, and I was like, okay, that's the same thing Justin said it looked like, which, in all fairness to my surgeon, Justin thought it looked like the same thing. Not that he's a medical professional, but neither am I. So I was like, well, 2 people say it looks like that, so it must be, I don't know. So I went home. That was on a Thursday. Then it was Friday was my cousin's visitation. Hold on. Someone was mad that they were in a timeout. Okay, so I don't know where I was because Jackson started wailing. Okay, my cousin's visitation, and then the day of her funeral, we had to stand for a while in the cemetery. Like, people got lost. because the two cemeteries are close to each other. It was just a lot of standing and a lot of physical stuff. And then my brother had come in town, so that night we were at my dad's, and the family was just together, and I was not feeling good at all. Like I was like, it just must have done too much. And over the day since I saw my surgeon, that spot had gotten huge, like the size of a small grapefruit, I'd say, under my skin. It was just massive, like the redness. And I was like, oh, this doesn't feel right. So I had decided that a Sunday, I couldn't even, like, by the end of Saturday night, when I got home and sat, I couldn't get back up. Like, I couldn't walk Sunday. I'm like, I just need to rest to get this stress reaction down some. I couldn't even walk. It was so painful. It was all over my lower stomach. And I should have probably took pictures, but I didn't until I took video when it started raining for my surgeon. And so Sunday night, it just, like, at the bottom of my stomach, like at the bottom of the red massive thing, it just, like, all of a sudden opens up, and it's like some nightmarish YouTube video. Just green and yellow pus and black blood are just literally pouring out of it. Like, I'm not joking. The amount of fluid coming out of this thing, I freaked the hell out. And then once it, like, stopped just draining it, like, on its own, I was like, what do I do? I was like, so, okay, so then I was trying to push the fluid out so that maybe it would, like, go down some and not be painful. And then we, like, dressed it and put not antibiotic, but, like, you know, like Neosporin on it, everything we could. And I had, this morning I was going to go straight to a doctor. So I called my surgeon's office and left them a message. And then I went straight to a different doctor, just like Justin's work clinic has doctors. They have a clinic for the employees and their spouses. And so I went there, and I found out I had a massive staph infection. So what that red thing was staph growing where I got my shot, which I'm not like, oh, like, you know, thinking it's, I could have scratched it or something at home. Staph is on your skin. It's, like, everywhere. It's naturally on your skin. It's on things. It could have started at the hospital. Like, I don't know. Like, my friend went and had a mole removed and in a dermatologist's office and ended up with staph. Like, it's just everywhere. So that in itself wasn't a big deal to me because you can really get it anywhere. A lot of people told me when I said I had it that had happened to them from, like, a shot or this or that. So I know that's normal, and it's a risk you take doing anything like that, even getting a shot. So it just wasn't caught early, and so I had, it's just like, it's been, and then they tried to empty it, and it's just been draining slowly, and I'm on, like, one clindamycin, the highest dose, every 4 hours. So that's what they did for it. This video is going to be really long. So then, like, that started Monday. I started the clindamycin. I hope I'm saying that right. It's very strong. Even the pharmacist was like, oh my gosh, that's a strong dose. My doctor has two locations, and two locations, and he does surgeries in the morning. And so the location I go to see him, my surgeon, couldn't see me until Thursday. So I did go to him on the Thursday, and it was looking much better, and he saw it and everything. He redressed it, and he adjusted my antibiotics because he thought that was too strong, because I started it on a Monday, and by Wednesday night, I could not, like, this is 20 ounces, like, over from Monday to Wednesday, I probably only had this much fluid in the whole gap of days. I just couldn't sip. Oh, I just took too big of a gulp. I couldn't sip. I'm just thinking about it. I was, like, gulping now, and now my stomach's gonna hurt. I couldn't do sipping because I was so nauseous from the antibiotics. I, like, couldn't, I just wanted to, like, sit there and everything. I was just so nauseous. And there was a couple of times I did take my nausea medicine, but it would make me sleepy, and I had to take care of Jackson. And so it was just a nightmare. So basically I got so dehydrated. And Wednesday night, Justin and I were talking about going to the emergency room to get me fluids. But I was like, there's no way, because last time I went for a food poisoning, they gave me 2 bags of fluids, just regular fluids, and they gave me 2 shots into my IV to stop like the diarrhea and vomiting and for nausea. And they charged my insurance company $7,000. And because we have a deductible, a high deductible, I had to pay for it because I hadn't reached my deductible. Like basically like I had no insurance. I told Justin I'm not doing that. And I found a home service that was cheaper where the like doctor comes to you, and they came with like an EMT, a doctor, uh, and I think someone training to be a MA. Um, and they came to the house. They had like these suitcases. They ran my blood work in my living room. It was crazy cool. And they gave me like IV and all that. And I posted that on my Instagram. That was, God, I think that was this past Thursday. So they came and they took care of my dehydration. I'm not sure how much it was yet because they had to run it through my insurance company, but I know it's not $7,000. And I never had to go anywhere. The only thing that's I wish they did was I wish they had like nighttime emergency hours, because it would have been nice Wednesday night. But I lived. But when I was so dehydrated I could not pee for them. Like I couldn't pee at all. That's how dehydrated I was. And they had to put a catheter in me to drain whatever they could get out of my bladder to test it for the urine tests. And it was at like the top severity of dehydration when they ran all my tests. She said it was like super, super severe hydration. And it's a really good thing I got fluids when I did. So they've adjusted my antibiotics. And since then, I've been able to mostly keep up with my fluids. So those are my complications. And I wanted to share. And like I said, I don't really think they're terrible complications in the grand scheme of things. Like there's one person in the group that like she was like, oh, I'm going into surgery, you know, I'm so excited, pray for me. Everyone posts when they go into surgery. And then like 4 hours later her husband was like asking for prayers because something had gone wrong and they had just barely been able to stabilize her, and she's still in the hospital. Like I don't remember what happened, but like she's got tubes and it's crazy. So like it needs to be taken seriously. And one thing that kind of like made me roll my eyes a little bit, and I'm sorry if you're one of these people, but that would be like, I don't think you understand how serious this is. Like I think you're thinking this is going to be way too easy. I have always known that this is a serious thing with complications. I just don't know why somebody would think. I think because like I don't outwardly show fear of stuff a lot of times, that people like assume that I'm just naive. But my thing is I had made up my mind, and somebody trying to scare me with complications, like in a good way, not a negative way, just because they wanted me to be aware or whatever, that didn't bother me. But when people were like, I don't think you realize, that kind of like irked me, because I'm not naive. I'm a 35-year-old woman, and I've known people have had this surgery. I took a year to make the decision, like a whole year of looking into it to make the decision. And if you're thinking about this, you just need to do the same thing. Because like I said, there's people in my group that, I mean, they're as far out as I am, and they're still only on liquids because their stomach's just not doing well or whatever. So I got really lucky, but I was always aware that that was there. I knew that dehydration happens sometimes after surgery to people. I just didn't really like when people were like thinking that I was just thinking this was like gonna be great and, you know, just like this tiny little outpatient procedure. The only thing that I feel I was naive to is the gas pain. And that is because I had a C-section. To me, a C-section was nothing, like in comparison to this, and I mistakenly thought that they might be similar pain-wise. That's the only place where I really feel I was naive. I knew that this was a more serious, obviously, way more serious surgery, but my pain tolerance is so high. I had no idea that it would be like this. Like, it wouldn't. It's just like, to even when I woke up out of surgery, Justin got scared because he said, she's awake, she's in recovery, we'll bring you back in a few minutes. And then it was like 45 minutes, almost an hour. And he said he was getting really scared. And that's because when I woke up, I remember this. I was freaking the hell out. I've had multiple surgeries before. Never in my life did I expect to wake up with that kind of pain, and I was screaming. I thought something was wrong. I was freaking the hell out because I felt like I was having a heart attack. There was this pressure in my chest and pain in my gut, and I was just freaking the hell out. And that's why you see me so drugged up in this video, because they had to shoot me with a bunch of crap to get me, I guess, to calm down and take care of my pain. And it was gas. And I thought I knew what gas was like because of my C-section. With C-section, you get gas, because like they're cutting through you and it messes with your stomach, and that's why you get constipation afterwards sometimes. But with this surgery, they told me they're blowing air into you during the surgery while they, to see things better and maneuver around you. And that kind of gas pain, gas X and stuff doesn't work because it's not in your gut and your stomach, it's in your body. And the only way to get it out is by walking. So that is one thing that I was not expecting to experience that kind of pain from gas. And this surgery recovery has been way harder for me than a C-section, but I knew it wouldn't be easy. I wasn't naive to the fact that it's a major surgery, but I thought because of how well I did my C-section that this would just be a breeze. I was pretty naive to that, I will say that, but I was not naive to complications or the fact that it's a major surgery. With my C-section, I was begging them to take the catheter out as soon as the spinal block wore off, and I was like, I want to get up, and they're like, well, you haven't had any pain medicine. I got up anyway. And the nurse was like, and with this, it didn't it's not I don't know. It wasn't the incision pain. It was that damn gas. And when they told me walking would get it out, you guys, I was walking. And I remember the nurse told Justin the first day, she's like, I've never seen somebody want to walk this fast or walk this much. She told him, it's really great that she's that motivated, but she needs to rest, because he was like, and then he told them, he was like, well, you should have seen her with her C-section. She basically wanted to rip the catheter out and get to walking, and she did, and everyone was shocked because they hadn't given her any pain medicine. I could hear him telling her, and she was like, oh my God. But with this, they're walking will get rid of that pain, because that pain lasted for about, I want to say 5 days. And that is the only time I had this point where I was like, what the hell have I done to myself? You're gonna have buyer's remorse a little bit when you go through stuff like that, as they call it. But then it's just a brief time where you're like, did I make the right decision? And then it gets better. And even with my staph infection, dehydration, I didn't feel that way. But that damn gas pain had me what the hell have I done? Anyway, so this is getting to be a really long video, but I feel like I had a lot to tell you guys. But the gas pain was no joke. And just having to be very careful, paranoid, I'm gonna rip my stomach open. Oh, another thing about the constipation. So like I said, my incisions weren't healed all the way. They were slightly. And 2 of the incisions under the glue, the stitch, or not the stitch, they had them cinched up into a little, they had balled it up, I guess, closed it. It kind of popped, and the incision then was a wide, it's busting the stitches, but there weren't stitches, if that makes sense, from the constipation too. So anyways, I just wanted to share that. If you're thinking of this surgery, just take your time and think of it. So far, I don't regret anything. My hormone blood work, my hormones have stabilized and normalized. My testosterone and all my PCOS stuff doesn't even look like I have PCOS, like it's lying dormant already. And my blood pressure has been crazy. And I don't like, it's crazy because I have genetic hypertension, and like when I was thinner, I still had high blood pressure. But like for some reason the other day, even without medicine, like when the EMTs came and stuff, my blood pressure was 110/68. And it's been like that when they take it, like super low, to where I'm like, oh my God. Because even with medicine, I could be in the 130s/40s/90s. And to me, like seeing my blood pressure that low, I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. So I don't regret anything, and I'm excited for my future. And I'm just really happy, you guys. I'm still like, I get tired really easily, but that's normal. Um, I'll do things like cook for Justin and Jackson, and then I'll get tired and sit for a bit. But I know it's going to be like that. All my friends have told me, the doctor told me, the first few months as your body kind of adjusts, you're going to tire really easily. So that's normal. And like I said, I'm fine with it. And I'm just really, really happy with everything and how everything went. And so, yeah, if you're in the Houston area and you're considering this, just email me or find me on Instagram and DM me if you're looking for a surgeon. Like I said, I love my surgeon. Like, honestly, he did such an amazing job. Like, I can't believe, like, a lot of people in my group can't believe, like I've already, oh my God, I didn't tell you guys, I'm eating meat again. Because in my follow-up, my surgeon said, really, like the first year, I need to think about incorporating meat back into my diet, just because the bulk of, it's like such a random thing to be like, oh, I almost forgot I'm eating meat. The bulk, like, amount that I would eat of vegetable protein and stuff, I don't have the stomach size for that anymore compared to meat. So like if I need to eat this much of something to be as much protein as a piece or like a bit of chicken, like I can't eat this much anymore because my stomach's like, small. So for the first year, because that's the most important, I have incorporated meat back into my diet. So it's really weird to me to be eating it. Like I've said before, like I never hated the taste of meat. I just didn't like, hurting animals or whatever, you know. Anyways, that's why I became a vegetarian when I was younger. Um, Not just that, but like their health benefits. My GI doctor told me a vegetarian diet's best for like preventing colon cancer if you've had it or whatever. So eventually I'd like to get back to it for me personally, but the first year I have incorporated it back. So we'll see. So far I have had ground beef and chicken. And like I said, people in my group some of them are not doing well. Their stomach's not doing well. Some of them had leaks. And mine's been great. Like I keep wondering, like, aside from the fact that I get full really easily, like I'm not taking lightly like having the surgery, but sometimes I feel so good and I feel fine. Like the first time I had chicken, I was really scared. And then I was like super moist when I got to the pureed phase. And I was like nervous because I had heard so many horror stories. And I'm like, oh, I'm okay. Did I even have the surgery? So anyways, if you need information in the Houston area, let me know. I did pay a cash price. He has one of the best cash prices in town. Anyway, okay, I'll see you guys in my next video. I'm looking forward to getting back to vlogging. This like, I actually feel like with my hormones balanced and stuff, like I'm on and off depression has gotten a lot better. Like I just feel a lot happier and stuff. So anyways, I'll see you guys in my next vlog. Bye.